David strolled through the park with Emma, the cool autumn breeze carrying the scent of fallen leaves. Their laughter mingled with the chatter of families and the crunch of footsteps on the path. It felt like a rare, peaceful afternoon, until Emma suddenly stopped. Her gaze was locked on a small figure sitting alone on a weathered bench. The boy couldn't have been older than 8. His small hands gripped a tattered baseball glove as if it were the most precious thing in the world. His head hung low, brown hair falling over his eyes. Emma's voice was barely more than a whisper, yet it struck David like thunder. "He looks like your dead son." David's breath caught in his throat. The words dragged him back to memories he'd buried deep: Ethan's playful grin, the way he'd run into his arms after school, the warmth of his little hand in David's own. Ethan had been gone for 3 years, taken too soon by an illness no one could stop. In all that time, David had learned to hide the ache, to move forward without speaking his name. But now, standing in that park, it felt as if Ethan had somehow returned. The boy's posture, the glove, even the faint scuff marks on his sneakers mirrored Ethan so perfectly that David's chest tightened. He couldn't look away. The world around him faded, and all he could see was the boy, alone, fragile, and hauntingly familiar, like a living echo of the child he had loved and lost. David's feet seemed to move on their own as he drifted closer to the bench. The boy didn't notice him at first, his gaze fixed on the ground, shoulders hunched as if the world had grown too heavy for him. Up close, David saw the streaks of dried tears on the boy's cheeks and the way his fingers nervously tapped the edge of the glove. "Hey, buddy," David said softly, trying not to startle him. The boy's head lifted slowly, revealing eyes so familiar they almost knocked the breath out of him. They weren't Ethan's eyes, but they carried the same depth of sadness and innocence. "You okay?" David asked, his voice catching slightly. The boy hesitated, then gave a small shake of his head. "I lost my dad today," he whispered, his voice trembling. For a moment, David couldn't speak. The words hit like a cold wind to the chest. He could almost feel the echo of his own loss, the helplessness, the hollow space where laughter used to be. "My mom's still at the hospital," the boy continued, staring at the ground again. I didn't want to cry in front of her." David's throat tightened. He glanced back at Emma, who stood a few steps away, her hand covering her mouth as her eyes glistened. This boy wasn't Ethan, but the pain in his voice was one David knew all too well. And in that instant, he realized he couldn't just walk away. David lowered himself onto the bench beside the boy, the old wood creaking under his weight. For a moment, neither of them spoke. The sounds of the park, the laughter of children, the barking of a dog somewhere nearby, felt strangely out of place against the quiet sorrow sitting between them. David's eyes drifted to the boy's glove. "You play?" he asked gently. The boy gave a faint nod. "Yeah, my dad and I played every weekend. He said I was getting really good." His voice cracked, and he quickly looked away, blinking hard. David swallowed the lump in his throat. "My boy loved baseball too," he said, almost in a whisper. Saying it out loud felt like touching an old wound, but it also felt right. "He used to bring his glove everywhere. Just like you." The boy turned to him, curiosity flickering through the sadness. "What happened to him?" David hesitated, then met the boy's gaze. "He got sick, and I couldn't fix it. I miss him every day." The boy's eyes softened, and for a heartbeat, they just looked at each other, two people from different worlds, connected by the same ache. Emma stepped closer, her hand resting lightly on David's shoulder. He could feel her silent encouragement, the unspoken reminder that sometimes the best way to heal your own pain is to help someone else carry theirs. David took a deep breath. "You know," he said with a small smile, "I've got a little time today. How about a quick game of catch?" The boy hesitated, glancing at the ground as if unsure whether it was okay to say yes. Then, with a small, almost shy nod, he handed David the worn baseball from his glove. David stood, stepping a few paces back, and gave the ball a gentle toss. The boy caught it effortlessly, his hands moving with a muscle memory that spoke of countless afternoons spent with his father. They fell into a quiet rhythm: throw, catch, throw, catch. At first, neither spoke, but with each pass, the boy's shoulders seemed to loosen. His eyes began to brighten just a little, and for a fleeting moment, he even smiled. "You've got a good arm," David said, tossing the ball a bit higher. The boy grinned faintly. "Dad used to say that too." Emma stood nearby, watching with a soft smile, though her eyes shimmered with tears. David felt a warmth growing in his chest, a strange mix of joy and longing, as if Ethan was somehow there, standing in the golden afternoon light. When the boy's mother appeared at the edge of the park, her face pale and drawn, David caught the ball one last time. He knelt in front of the boy, pulling something from his pocket, a scuffed, faded baseball with Ethan's name still faintly written in blue ink. "This was my son's lucky ball," David said, pressing it into the boy's glove. "He'd want you to have it. Maybe, you can make your own memories with it." The boy's lip trembled as he clutched it tightly. The boy's mother reached them, her voice soft but strained. "Thank you for watching him," she said, glancing at David with tired, grateful eyes. David simply nodded, not trusting his voice to hold steady. She placed a gentle hand on her son's shoulder, and together they began to walk away. Halfway down the path, the boy turned back. He raised the glove with Ethan's baseball inside and gave David a small, solemn wave. As they walked on, David understood something he hadn't before, that honoring the ones we've lost isn't about holding their memory in the dark, but about letting their love spill into the lives that still need it. And somewhere deep inside, it felt like Ethan was smiling.